Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode of D-Style Fishing. As you guys can tell from the title, today I will be teaching you guys how to catch largemouth bass using Nightcrawlers. But before we get into the fishing, I'm going to show you guys what you guys are going to need in terms of rod, reel, line, test, and whatever else you're going to need. So let's get to that. So obviously when you're fishing, you're going to need a rod, reel, line, hook, possibly weights. So I'm going to break down my setup and what I like to use and how I like to fish it. First of all, let's start with my setup. Obviously, this is a spinning setup. I'm using spinning just because I like fishing with spinning setup with Nightcrawlers and just live bait in general because I feel like it's a lot more easier, it's a lot more simple, and when you're relatively new to fishing, this is probably one of the first things you're gonna get, or if not, this is gonna be the first upgrade you're gonna have. So obviously it's a spinning reel, which looks like this. So first of all, let's start with the pole because I feel like that's one of the more important parts of the setup. So this is obviously the Lew's speed stick. This is the Hank Parker signature. It's a 610 medium power. So I think the power of the pole is very important. So I recommend using a medium power just because I feel like it has enough power to fight the fish, enough power to set the hook when you do, but also has enough play to let the fish fight, and I just feel like that's a good starting spot. I've just always been using medium. I definitely recommend medium for power. Can't give you a good reason why. But then also with your reel, you're gonna need a spinning reel. This is a 2000 size reel, so it has a good amount of line on it. And this is the Granite Outdoors. I'm not sure the model, how dirty it is from how much I use this with live bait fishing. For your line, I like recommending not super heavy line, but also not super light line. This is some more advanced people are gonna look at me like I'm kind of crazy, but this is 8-pound line. I recommend anywhere from 8 to 12 for live bait fishing, just because that's just what I like. I like using stuff like that. So 8 to 10 pound, or 8 to 12 pounds, sorry, but this is 8. Just use something in between there and you'll be okay. And also something that's really important is how you set your drag. So how to test your drag is you take your line here by the bail, and that's how you test it. Now you want your drag to be set so when a fish does end up pulling when you're fighting the fish, it does that so you don't break off. And you set that using here. You obviously don't want it super tight or super loose. Here's what super loose looks like. Now that's just ridiculous. You're not even gonna get a hook set in the fish, so that's why you need a relatively tight drag. But then that's better there, but I have it set right about there. So when they do have a burst of energy, they pull out line and you do not break off. And now for hooks, I like using jig heads just because, the hook is the weight pretty much. This is a 32nd ounce Eagle Claw jig head, I believe. So it's pretty small. I like using, 32nd ounce, 16th ounce. You can go with 8th ounce. I feel like an 8th ounce is just a little heavy, so 8th, 16th and 32nd are good weights to use when using a jig head. You could use a split shot, but I'm not a big fan of that. I feel like this is a lot more simpler. Everything is just here within the hook. So it's just weighted jig head, and that's pretty much it in terms of setup. Now, obviously you're gonna need your bait, which is Nightcrawlers. So go to your nearest store or go into your backyard, get some Nightcrawlers, and yeah, I'll catch you guys at the lake and I'll show you guys how to fish the Nightcrawler, how to rig the Nightcrawler, and what to do when you fight a fish with a voiceover. I'll catch you guys at the lake.
Alright guys, so we are here at the lake, and in terms of rigging your Nightcrawler, it's very easy. Just grab one, take your weighted jig head, go through right behind the egg sac, you'll know when you see it, go through the worm towards the head once, turn the worm around, and then you just do it again. So it's just hook twice through, and that's pretty much it when it comes to rigging. Now in terms of fishing this bait, there are 2 ways I like to fish it. One I like to call free casting, which is what I'm doing right here, just casting and not really paying attention to where I'm casting, obviously into the water obviously, but nothing super special, just cast it out and let it sit there. Secondly is another technique lure fishermen are more used to, and it's called sight fishing. And sight fishing is when you walk around or you travel around the body of water and you look for fish in the water, and then you cast at the fish when you see them. I will go over both of those techniques right now. So free casting, as easy and simple as it sounds, there is a little bit of quote-unquote science to it. You'd obviously want to, when free casting, to cast where the fish would be, theoretically would be, and that would be like right around rocks or like sand, right around cover near docks or whatever. Just find a place that you think would hold fish. For example, I know this little spot right where I'm standing, this between the rock and where the wood plank lies and ends and starts. I know there's a relatively deep to shallow drop off, and usually fish like hanging out around there. So and the wind blows up against that bank a lot too, which means the bait is being pushed up. So then if you cast your bait around there where the bait is, and the fish come by, they'll see it and eat it. And it's just very simple. So just look for like little areas where fish would be holding. So like little like weed lines that drop off, cast right past the weed line kind of thing. So just use common knowledge, or not common knowledge, just but use your best guess and go ahead and cast where you think fish would be. And that is how you sight fish, not sight fish, free cast. So sight fishing, as the name implies, and as I stated earlier, you're looking for the fish. You're actively looking in the water for the fish. Polarized glasses would be a lot easier, but you're technically just looking at the bank. Clear water makes it easier. This color water, not so much, but it's very simple. You're just looking for the fish. You're gonna cast at them when you see them, like I do here. When you see the fish pick it up and take away with it, you'll see your line take off. Open your bail, let them swim away with it for a little bit, for a couple seconds, and you're just gonna set the hook as hard as you can, and that hook will pin the fish in the mouth, and then you're just gonna land the fish. It's very that simple. Usually, most of the fish around this time of year, which is like around spring and summertime, very easy to catch, and they'll sometimes come off the hook like that. But he luckily just landed in the water, so he's okay. And it's very simple. But a big thing is when fishing with night crawlers, especially the ones you get from Walmart, or just bait stores, they're really big, long night crawlers. So when you do get a bite, whether it's free fishing or sight fishing, you're gonna want to let the fish take the bait for a couple seconds. Usually, I would recommend about 15 seconds. It might be a little long, but you just gauge it. Usually, let them take it for a bit, and then you're gonna set the hook as hard as you can after you're waiting for a couple seconds. And that's pretty much it when you're hooking into them. So other lakes, or the lake you might be fishing at, as I am in this one, different bodies of water hold more than just bass. So there's going to be like, for example, bass, which you'll be targeting. I'm assuming watching this video, there's also be bluegill, catfish, and maybe some other species of fish in there too. So don't be surprised if you do end up catching another species of fish. For example, as you guys are going to see right about now, I did catch a bluegill when targeting, bass, but it does happen. So don't be surprised if you're targeting bass, but you end up hooking into like a catfish, a bluegill, or some kind of perch, or whatever else happens to be in the lake. So do not be surprised when you hook into another species of fish, but it happens sometimes. So just keep that in mind. And if you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe. I'm not sure how many tutorials I'll be doing. I'll be doing them whenever I feel like it's necessary. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed, feel free to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more fishing content coming soon. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.